Tonight. I would like to set some room for this meet and greet, which means if you have a question, you will need to ask the question to the speaker, and you will answer it for you. And we are asking you, please keep your question to one or limit one or two, so that way other person who are here can get a chance. And please do not ask a repeated question. If you have a follow-up question, you can do so. Otherwise, because time is an essence, so Mr. Matron is a weekday, he left his office and he's here late in the night to give us the insight of our Jalalabad investigation. So I now ask our General President of organization, Mr. Khan, to speak, give us the welcome speech. And also, I want to give you, if someone of you have our Board of Trustee will also be speaking today regarding where we are, what we, or if you have some question, maybe some of our Board of Trustee also might. Okay. So I welcome our President, Badru Khan, to give a welcome speech.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. আজকে আপনাদেরকে আমরা এই ব্যাপারে শর্ট টাইমের নোটিশে আপনারা দাওয়াত করি, আমরা এই উপস্থিত করছি। আপনারা জানেন যে আমরা জালালাবাদ অ্যাসোসিয়েশনের মামলা সংক্রান্ত আমাদের মামলা যিনি পরিচালনা করছেন অত্যন্ত স্বনামধন্য অ্যাটর্নি Joseph Martin. He come with us only reason যে জালালাবাদ অ্যাসোসিয়েশনের মামলা কোথায় আছে, কিভাবে আছে, এবং আপনারা সবাই আমাদের বর্তমানে সংগঠনের আত্মসাৎকৃত টাকায় যে বাড়ি কিনে হয়েছে সেই বাড়ি কোথায় আছে, বাড়ির অবস্থান কোথায়, এবং আমাদের মামলা এবং কেসের অবস্থান কোথায়, সেই ব্যাপারে আপনারা নিজের পক্ষ থেকে আপনাদের সংগঠন, আপনাদের টাকা, সেই ব্যাপারে আপনারা খোলাখুলি আপনারা প্রশ্ন করতে পারবেন, জানতে পারবেন বর্তমানের অবস্থা কি। এই জন্যই আজকে আপনাদের সামনে অ্যাটর্নি জোসেফ মার্টনকে উপস্থিত করা হয়েছে। তাই আমি আপনাদেরকে অনুরোধ করব, আপনারা যার অবস্থান থেকে আপনারা যেটুকু জানার আগ্রহ থাকে সেই ব্যাপারে সরাসরি প্রশ্ন করবেন। যদি আমরা ইংলিশে কইতেও না পারি, আপনি বাংলায় বলেন, কোনো অসুবিধা নাই, আমরা ট্রান্সলেট করি, উনারে বলবো, উনি আনসার দিবেন। আর এই আজকের এই দিনে অত্যন্ত শর্ট টাইমের নোটিশে আপনারা উপস্থিত হয়েছেন, আমি আপনাদেরকে সকলকে ধন্যবাদ জানাই। এবং আমরা যেহেতু এটা সীমিত সময়ের জন্য অ্যাটর্নির উপস্থিত করা হয়েছে, আমরা খুব বেশি সময় নিতে পারবো না। আমরা এই 10-15 মধ্যে আমাদের অনুষ্ঠান সমাপ্তি করতে হইব। তাই আপনারা, আমি মনে করি আমরা আজকে আর বিশেষ করে অন্য কোনো কথাবার্তাতে না গিয়া আপনারা যে সংগঠনের ব্যাপারে যতটুকু জানার, যে কারণে আপনারা সামনে উপস্থিত করছি, সেই ব্যাপারে আমরা কার্যক্রম শুরু করি। আপনাদের সকলকে ধন্যবাদ। এই ভিতরে আমি মনে করি আমাদের বোর্ড অফ ট্রাস্টির সম্মানিত দুইজন সদস্য, ওনাদেরকে বলবো আপনারা 1 মিনিটের ভিতরে ওনাদের অবস্থান ব্যাখ্যা করবেন, এরপরেই আমরা স্পিকার দিয়ে দিব আজকের গেস্ট এবং আমাদের অ্যাটর্নি জোসেফ মার্টন।
আসসালামাইকুম। আজকে আসলে অনেক ঠান্ডা, সবাইকে আসলে জন্য অনেক ধন্যবাদ জালালাবাদবাসী। So I'm going to talk in English. First of all, welcome all the members of Jalalabad Association, the president of the Jalalabad Association, plus we want to welcome here to our first time in our community, the lawyer that the Jalalabad Association has hired. John, thank you, and thank you for taking the time in this cold weather to come. The reason why we asked him or requested him to come to our community is to explain what are the issues that are happening. Where is the case being held? Where is our litigation case? Where is the criminal case? Where is what is the district attorney doing? So the reason he's asking, what should I say? So I'm asking for সবাই আমি বলতেছি, please come up and ask the question. যেগুলো আমরা উত্তর দিতে পারি নাই, but it wasn't sufficient. আমরা যে আপনারা যে উত্তরটা আমাদেরকে পাইছেন এটা আপনাদের বুঝার মতো পড়ে নাই. So ask him all the questions. Because he's the face of Jalalabad Association right now, as he's fighting all our cases. Simply, I do want to say something that Jalalabad Association of America Inc., we don't own that property. The Jalalabad Association of America USA Inc. It's আমাদের property na. The only truth is, এটা কিন্তু আমাদের finance. We bought the property with our money, but we're not the owner. There's a big confusion in our community. And out of the question last time, foreclosure at the Parase, I'm going to give the board of trustees, I'm sure, request I want to say something. After he said something, I would want to make sure that everyone here asks all the questions. So when you guys come, after you leave here, আপনারা post করতে পারবেন what is the truth, what is actually happening in this matter of Jalalabad Association of America. Thank you.
অনেক ক্ষেত্রে আমরা যখন আল্লাহ করি কাউকে কোনো উত্তর দিই, তাহলে অনেক সময় মানুষ মনে করে যে দুটা গ্রুপের মধ্যে যার যার মতো উত্তর দিতে। সেই জন্য আজকের অ্যাটর্নি সাহেব এখানে আসছেন। আপনারা নিজের থেকে কোয়েকশন করবেন, যত কিছু জানবেন, এতে সারা ওয়ার্ল্ডে জানতে পারবে যে আমাদের টাকাটা কোথায়, আমরা কিভাবে টাকাটা উদ্ধার করব, এবং যে নামে বাড়িটা কিনে হয়েছে ওই বাড়িটা আমাদের নয়, আর টাকাটা আমাদের। সেই জন্য এই কোয়েকশন গুলা করবেন এবং কেসে আমরা কতটুকু আগাইছি এবং কি হবে, যেমন মনে করেন ডিস্ট্রিক্ট অনেক ক্ষেত্রে শোনা যায় ডিস্ট্রিক্ট ক্যান্সার। এই কোয়েশন গুলা আপনারা দয়া করে চিন্তাতে করবেন, উনি ওনার মতো উত্তর দিবে। আমার মনে হয় এতে যত লোক আছে আমাদের জালালাবাদের, ওনারা আমাদের মাধ্যমে বা এই নিউজ মিডিয়ার মাধ্যমে এটা জানতে পারবেন। এই হইটা
Thank you, Board of Trustees and President Jalalabad Association. I now welcome our speaker tonight, who will now discuss, give you a full brief first from what he found, what he did under his investigation when we brought the complaint to him. So I will ask Mr. McCohen to give you a detailed brief decision. There is no hidden thing. It's your organization. It's your right to know. So he is here to answer all your questions. So here you go, Mr. McCohen.
বসে বলতে পারো তো স্যার, সবাই বসে বলতে
Best night clip I ever got. No, I have to stand because lawyers, when they talk, we stand. Because we're usually in front of the judge and the jury, and to show our respect, we stand in front of the judge and the jury. So, gentlemen, ladies, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Joseph Matone Jr. I am an attorney. I have been retained by the Jalalabad Association of America in not one, but two different and separate actions or lawsuits, if you refer to them as. First, I thank the board, I thank the membership for giving me an opportunity to come before them and set some of the records straight with respect to rumors, Facebook, social media, of which I am not part of. So I welcome the opportunity to do this evening. Let's start off. Let's start off with the lawsuits and describe to you what is going on. We currently have 2 lawsuits. One lawsuit, the association is the plaintiff. That plaintiff is suing parties such as Jalalabad, USA, Mohinur, and I apologize for pronunciation of the names, I still don't have them down, but Mohinur Islam, Hay, Calgary, Mega Homes, Inc., Core Construction. Now, a lot of you are shaking your head, you recognize some of those names, but you might not be familiar with the other names. And tonight, I intend to explain to you all those names and the relationship to this lawsuit. That's lawsuit number 1. We are suing. Lawsuit number 2 is Washington Equities and Funding, which was the lender who lent Jalalabad, USA, $610,000 to buy a home for $870,000, of which the other $300,000 was taken from the association's bank account. Now, I call her Mita. Mita is absolutely correct. Although the money was taken out of the association's funds, we do not own the house. Title to the house is in JAL USA, Inc. Now, who is JAL USA? Well, very simply stated, JAL USA is Mohinur Islam. He is the owner of the house under an entity by the name of JAL USA. Let's put that in context a little bit. So wait a minute. He took the association's $300,000+, bought a house, put it into an entity by the name of JAL USA, and who is the owner of JAL USA? Mohinur Islam. He took your money and bought him a house with your money. It is clear. Yes. It is unmistakable. Yes.
My question.
Oh, sir, let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish. Now, let's go back a little bit. Let's do a little history here. In the pamphlets that I've circulated, you have an Exhibit A. Maybe everybody should take a look at that Exhibit A. Okay, that's the first page, Exhibit A. And what this document is a bank statement. Everybody see that document? It's a bank statement from Sterling National Bank, where the association maintained its funds. Now, as you notice, this is a statement from December of 2020. You're saying, well, what does this have to do with anything? Well, we're going to tie it together for everybody tonight. If you take a look at where it says basic business checking, you'll see that there was a withdrawal from this fund, from this account, for $250,000. Everybody see that?
Yes.
If you go down to the bottom, you will see that $250,000 was paid to Core Construction Group Corp. in December of 2020. Now, I ask you, much like your former president, I would ask you to take a look at Exhibit B now. I would ask you that this is an affidavit, this is a letter to all the members from your former president Mr. Chowdhury. And in this letter, Mr. Chowdhury wants to address this $250,000 taken out of the account in December of 2020. And what he says is, at this time, the transfer of $250,000 from the account of the organization to another account and back again raises many questions. It certainly does raise questions. It certainly does raise questions. And it is necessary to clarify my position in this regard because of suspicion. Neither I nor the executive committee or the board of trustees were aware of this at that time. He admits to your members, I was the president. I didn't know that Manoy Islam took $250,000 out of the account of the association and gave it to somebody named Core Construction Group. Can anybody in this room tell me why you gave $250,000 to Core Construction Group? No, we don't know. And he couldn't say it either, because he goes on to state, neither I nor the executive committee or board of trustees were aware of this at this time. Dear Jalalabad residents, when we were preparing for the cut-out notice, he doesn't answer his own question. He doesn't say what the $250,000 was for. He confronted Manoy Islam on this. He asked Manoy what this $250,000 was for. There was no response. Dear Jalalabad members, when we were preparing for the transfer of power after the 2022 election, which took place in June of 2022, your president that sits here tonight was appointed duly through the Constitution the president of your organization in June of 2022. He says, after the 2022 elections, I was informed about the purchase of the house. Now, this is the president of the organization who didn't know at the time that this house was bought, didn't know at the time funds were taken out, didn't know at the time that a mortgage of $610,000 was incurred. This is the president of your organization. So who is doing this? Well, Mr. Islam has his fingerprints on everything. Now, it goes on to state, I was informed about the purchase of the house after the 22 election. I had no idea about the house price or mortgage. I need this for the purpose of that. Is that why? I don't need this. Okay, so you need it for the purpose of that. Okay. He goes on to state, I was informed, I had no idea about the house price or mortgage. I was also not aware that the house was purchased in an LLC. Jalalabad USA LLC. And who did we say is the owner of Jalalabad USA LLC? Who is the owner? Thank you. After coming to know about this, Treasurer Manu Islam told me that the committee president and treasurer will include the names of these two people later, as we were the outgoing committee. That is out and outright nonsense. This house, regardless of whether the committee should have been titled in Jalalabad Association of America, because it was Jalalabad Association of America that bought this property, not Jal USA, not Manu Islam. He took the money without the executive board's approval, without the board of trustees' approval. Unbeknownst to your own president, he says it in his writing to you. So who else was there? Well, possibly it is the general secretary. I'm not quite sure at this time, but I know for a fact that Manu Islam orchestrated that transaction in 2020 and orchestrated this transaction in August of 2022. Okay. Let's take a look at what happened, Exhibit C. Let's take a look at what went on at this closing. Okay, first, the first document you have, first page, is a copy of a contract of sale, just the first page. It's dated March 15th of 2022. Now, we talked about Core Construction in December of 2020, didn't we, gentlemen? Well, take a look at who is the purchaser on this contract. It's circled for you. Can everybody see that? That's Core Construction Group, Inc. That means familiar. We gave them $250,000 in December of 2020 for no reason at all. Hey, you start to tie things together now. Wait a minute. Who is this Core Construction? So Core signed a contract for the purchase of this house in March of 22. The next document, excuse me, I think I'm messing it up. Bear with me, folks. I might have one or two out of order. Okay. You have to take my word for it. The next document I have in my possession is a contract of sale. This one dated in April now. And this contract of sale is now between the seller and all of a sudden pops up Jolly USA. Well, how did the contract go from Core to Jolly USA? Who authorized all this? We don't know who authorized this. We don't know who, but we know two things now. We know who Jolly USA is, Manol Islam, okay? And we know that Core Construction was given $250,000 in December of 2020 and now appeared on another contract. So you're saying, where is the connections here? What's going on? Okay. The next document you'll see is a deed. And that deed looks like this. That deed shows that the property was put in the name of Jolly USA. In other words, AKA Manoia Islam. Okay? Now, let's take a look at let's take a look at the check. Everybody knows what a check looks like. Let's take a look at the check. Now, as part of this mortgage transaction, Mr. Manu bought the house for $870,000, and he borrowed $610,000 from Washington Equity and Funding. But in exchange for the mortgage, like everybody knows who's bought a house before, you've gone to closings, you've seen your lawyers have said, okay, we're getting $610,000 from the bank, but we got to come up with the other $260,000, plus we have costs of this closing that we have to come up with. Now, understand what Washington Equity and Funding is. It's not a bank. It's what we call a hard money lender. It does deals that banks would not do. And what they do in exchange for that is they charge you enormous premium. Like in this case, part of the terms of the commitment here were that there be 2 points paid on this mortgage, and a point is what is considered a percent. So for the benefit of receiving $610,000 as a loan, Jolly USA had to pay them over $12,000 in points. What were some of the other terms of this loan? Well, one of the other terms of the loan is that the bank, because they're not sure that they're ever going to see their money, they charge 4 months of prepaid interest on the mortgage. In other words, when you go to buy your home, you pay that month's mortgage, and you pay next month's mortgage when it comes, and you pay the next month's mortgage. In this instance, no. The bank said, we want 4 months upfront payments for our prepaid interest on this mortgage. So what does Mr. Islam do? Takes these 4 checks, 3 on here, 1 on the other, takes these 3 checks out of Jalalabad Associations of America's account and writes them to Washington Mutual, each check for $5,337, representing prepaid interest out of your bank account, out of your association account, not out of Jolly USA, out of your account. I'm sorry? Say. So he took the money out of your account to pay this prepaid interest. Now, let's go, everyone knows who's bought a house that when you go to a closing, you have to have an insurance policy. So what does Mr. Islam do? He writes a check to BNP COVID Inc., which is an insurance company. And he pays for the insurance out of whose account? The Jalalabad Association. Now, let's take a look at the creme de la creme. And everybody should look at this check. This is a check, a bank check, for $259,000. And as you can see from where it's marked remitter, the remitter of this check was Jalalabad Association of America, Inc. He took $259,000 bank check out of your account to buy a house in his alter ego, Jalalabad, USA. Did anybody say theft of funds? Did any of this membership, as he sit in this room, know that this money was being taken out of your account? No. I've spoken to many people. No one knew about this. Funny this check. Again, Jalalabad Association of America check to Bambula Enterprises for $5,000. Can anyone tell me what Bambula Enterprises Inc. is? Does the association owe Bambula $5,000? Do you know that when I looked up Bambula Enterprises Inc., you know what it came back as? A taxi and limousine company. You guys really travel in that kind of class with limousines at $5,000? I don't think so. Look, this is comical to the point where it's criminal, and we'll get into that in a minute. Now, take a look at this stuff. This is what's called an MLS listing. Okay, it's what brokers do when, excuse me, let's go back a minute. I'm not finished with Mr. Islam yet. Let's go back a minute. In the contract of sale to purchase this house, there was a broker listed in the contract. That broker was Mega Homes Realty Inc. I'm going to let you guess who owns Mega Homes Realty is. With no questions about it, I have the proof and the evidence. Mr. Islam made $41,000. I'm sorry? I apologize. I'm sorry. My numbers are a little off. $43,500 on the sale of this home to himself with your money. This is undisputable. This is documented. This isn't hyperbole. This isn't conjecture. This is evidence that I possess in what's called closing statements of the attorney. Yes. So let's just recount a little bit here. So we know that Mr. Islam took the money from the association's account, bought a house in his name or his alter ego, Jalalabad, USA, and the creme de la creme, the cherry on the sundae, is he made $41,000 on the deal. Now, let's talk about this house that Mr. Islam purchased. This is an ML listing, an MLS listing. It's a broker's form, which is used to advertise the house for sale. And you know what this broker's form says about this house? It says, needs to be gutted. Does everybody understand what that word means? Needs to be gutted? No. It means that every piece of sheetrock, every piece of wood, everything needs to be ripped out of this house and rebuilt. Can you say a couple of $100,000? Can you say a couple of $100,000? Because that's what it's going to cost to refurnish this house. But it even gets better, because the listing goes on to say, great property to knock down and build multi-unit buildings. Is this association hiding a couple of $1 million that I don't know about? Were you guys gonna knock this house down and build a multi-family dwelling? No. If you guys got the money for it, then I gotta raise my attorney's fees, because that's absurd. This is not what this organization was designed to do. This organization was put together, at least from what I can see, to assist immigrants from your homeland to come to this country and assimilate, help them assimilate. It's not to start owning real estate and building multi-family buildings with millions of dollars. That's for a sophisticated real estate person, not this organization. Now, before I get to this, I want to, bear with me 1 second. Oh, thank you. Now, when I started my speech, and I'm sorry if I talk loudly, I'm used to talking in a large courtroom and you have to project your voice, but I said to you that there were 2 lawsuits. One was brought by Washington Equity and Funding Corp to foreclose on the house. Why? Well, because after the prepaid interest, after that had run out, which I showed you, there were no more payments made on the mortgage. None. So in October of 2022, Washington Mutual commenced a foreclosure action. They're going to take the house away because the mortgage isn't being paid. Now, when someone sues you, your lawyer has to respond. He has to put in what we call an answer to object to the allegations that are being made in the complaint. So what does Mr. Islam and Jal USA's attorney do? Well, he submits an answer, but that answer is rejected by the plaintiff. It's right here in a document filed with the court. It's document number 31 in this file. See at the top left page, you'll see document number 31. This is a rejection by the plaintiff of the answer that was put forth by Jal USA and Manor Islam. And the reason why the answer was rejected was because, number one, it was not timely. You have 20 in some cases and 30 days in other cases to respond. He didn't do it timely. In addition, there was a procedural defect in his answer. Mr. Islam never took the time to sign it. So, there is nothing between Washington Equity foreclosure and getting the house and taking it. There's nothing that's preventing them to do that except for us. Jalalabad Association, because I did file a document that permitted me to take more time to answer this complaint. So there could be no rejection or default taken against the association. So the only thing that stands between Washington Equity foreclosing on this house is Jalalabad Association. Now, I want you to understand something. With respect to that lawsuit, it's an uphill battle. Because the bank is saying, we didn't know anything about this. I think they did. And I think I can prove it. But the bank is saying, we didn't know anything about this bad man, Manul Islam. We didn't know anything about Jalalabad Association of America. Well, wait a minute. At the closing, you took copies. You know, I took copies. But you accepted $20,000 in prepaid interest from Jalalabad Association. You took copies of a check that was $259,000 that was taken out of the association. What do you mean you didn't know anything about it? I intend to prove, or attempt to prove, that Washington Equity and Funding knew exactly what was going on. Now, we all know, those of us who read social and Facebook and whatever heck other social media account, that Mr. Islam is supposedly has a relationship with the people at Washington Funding. Now remember, this is not a bank. This is a group of people that pool their money together. And they make these hard money loans to people like yourself. Okay? So we're hearing from Mr. Islam on social media things like, oh, the foreclosure is going to go away. He's my buddy. He's my friend. Well, I was on the phone with the attorney to his buddy and his friend tonight. And he said, Joe, maybe you don't follow social media, but I do. And we're going to get Mr. Islam's attorney on the phone Monday. And we're going to tell him that his client better stop espousing lies. That we're going forward on this foreclosure and we're going to take this house if we're not paid. Another lie, and it is a lie. And I feel very comfortable saying that in public, and I don't say that very easily. But I have been told, again, I'm not a social media guy. I'm not on Facebook. I don't have the time. I got 3 kids, a wife, 5 cars, and I just don't have the time for it. But I have been told by respectful people I respect that Mr. Islam has gone on social media and said, oh, that criminal investigation, oh, that's going away too. There's nothing to that. I got news for you. I got a document here from ADA and Tara Pat, who's in charge of this criminal investigation, who is taking laborious hours to talk to everyone who allegedly signed this resolution. And we all know about the resolution, right? That was the one in which this membership, this executive committee, gave Manul Islam the absolute authority to do anything he wanted with respect to this house. I have looked at your resolutions and I have looked at your records going back years, and I have never seen where this executive committee has given any individual officer the right to act solely by himself. We all know, and we're going to prove, that the document that he alleges was signed by the executive committee, which included this statement in it, was a statement that was added to that document after it was signed by the executive committee. 16 of the 19 committee members have met with the district attorney's office, and they said, this statement was not in the document when I signed it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, This is a tough fight. This is a battle. But although I sit here and I show you these documents, there are legal reasons that we can be attacked and we can lose. We can lose if this is not handled correctly. Now, this matter can be solved. It really can. It can be solved by non-lawyers. It can be solved by the association's membership saying to Mr. Islam, saying to your fellow members, we met with the attorney. We saw the documents. There is no dispute as to what went on here. And hopefully after we go through this question and answer session, any of your questions will be answered. One of the weirdest things during the course of this investigation was my conversation with Mr. Islam's attorney who represented him at the closing, a woman by the name of Yvette, somebody or other. And the attorney said to me, well, you know, Joe, his intentions were good. Well, my mother, who was Sicilian, used to say that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Does everybody understand what that means? That no matter whether your intentions are good, bad, or indifferent, you cannot do things which violate the law, which violate your Constitution, and for what it stands. He cannot, under the guise of good intentions, contravene your Constitution, contravene the laws set down by the Attorney General of the state of New York on what you are, a non-for-profit corporation. By the way, gentlemen, Mr. Islam has given you a real problem, tax problem. I haven't even revealed this to Rukan yet. He's giving you a real tax problem. Because what he did is he used a non-for-profit entity, Jal Association of America entity, to buy and put in a for-profit Jal USA company. That means that he has just given you a nightmare of an accounting problem, tax issue. How do you explain to the Attorney General that a non-for-profit entity's monies were given to a for-profit corporation? We got problems. We got problems. Now, I can go on, and I can go on, and we can be here until 12:30 at night. Okay? I could go on and tell you a lot of other things. But what I came here to highlight were these specific things, to make it simple, to make it understandable for you folks, so that you could go and spread the word. See, we saw the documents. We saw the evidence. We know what you did. You stole our money and bought a house for yourself in your own name. It's funny, but it's sick. It is laughable, but it's sick. And this injustice cannot continue. Now, do you want me to add anything before I start taking questions?
We have some question comes from the social media.
How much was buying commission? I think I hit that one. I'll say it again, loud and clear. Mr. Islam made $43,500 from the sale. Now, understand what was going on here. He was selling the house and buying the house, and he was the broker. It don't get any better than that. He never disclosed any of this to anyone, not the executive committee, not the member. He violated every real estate ethical canon there is. He was the broker, and he was representing the buyer. He was the buyer. Except it was your money. No, my details. It was your money. It was the money you put into the association. The money you put in to help the people come to this country. Was the commission collected by the same person? It went to Mega Homes Realty Inc. When I did my research with the Commissioner of State, I saw that my Lord Islam was the president and owner of Mega Home Realty Inc. I'll take one.
Two comments that you have provided us on your discovery. One shows that Mega Home Realty collecting 17,000. Another one showing that Mega Home collecting 26,100.
I can explain.
Total of 43,500. And Prince Association, some realty, another one who's collecting 34,800. Another statement that says 8,700. So when we dispersed that information which we got from you, people question us. It's total of 87,000.
Let me see if I can put this in simpler terms. The total commissions paid on this deal was 7% of the purchase price, of which Mr. Islam received, or Mega Homes received, 4% of that 7%. First of all, 7% is an outrageous brokerage commission. But because he was dealing and wheeling, this is how he set it up. Real simple. 4% of 870,000. That's your number.
So,
I'll take any questions from the floor that you have, and anything you'd like to ask, please.
I have one question.
Please, sir.
Yes, when after the house is going to be the foreclosure, right? Can you explain what is the foreclosure is still now going on?
What I can explain to you about the foreclosure is, I've explained to you already that Mr. Islam's answer has been rejected in the foreclosure. He's done. Plaintiff, you're done. Defendant Islam and Jalal USA, you're done. You're finished. You didn't answer in a timely manner. So now the only thing that stands between Washington Equity's foreclosure and the actual foreclosure is Jalalabad Associations of America. But ladies and gentlemen, that's a tough fight for us. I'm going to fight that fight. But that's a tough fight for us because Washington Equities is saying, we're not a bad guy here. We didn't know anything. And I'm going to waive these checks in front of the judge. And I'm going to say, Judge, they had to know. They knew or should have known.
I have one question. Yeah, look at the home corporation of people. And but Mr. Islam, he is the owner of the Mega Home Realty. And he is during the time he's the treasurer of this. Well, what about this one? Breach of trust he did? And what about the what state? The breach of trust is found. They go to the against this licensing department got the case at this one.
Why don't you translate that question for the audience, and I'll be able to follow and look at it too. I'm sorry, sir. It's my ears. It's not your feet.
So his question was, did he breach the trust between the organization and the real estate that Mega Home Realty or can we get this real estate?
Yeah, no, it's just to the Department of State.
Yes.
Like
Okay, I know what you're getting. Okay, I think the question centers on, why can't we report this to the Division of State Real Estate Board and file a complaint? I'm working on it. Except your committee members have my office working 8 hours a day on other matters in which I have to prioritize. Like, for example, tonight, until I left my office, we were working on the motion to dismiss brought by Washington Equity. Before that, I was trying to answer the summary judgment motion that was brought by Washington Equity to foreclose on the house. The answer to your question is, I'll get it done. I don't have 50 attorneys at my disposal. My office, I have 4 attorneys. 3 of them are working on your case, and we're having a hard time keeping up with it. But we are keeping up with it. Okay? We just can't get it done faster. And we're working very hard to get it done. So the answer to your complaint, do I intend to file with Mr. Khan, as president of your organization, intend to file a complaint with the Division of State Real Estate Board? The answer is yes. It's 3/4 of the way prepared, and I hope to have Mr. Khan in the office next week to sign. That answer your question? Thank you.
So we have one of our members who couldn't attend. I'll ask if he wants to ask a question.
Please.
I'm gonna speak out if you have some.
My name is Joseph Matone Jr.
I just want to know if the capacity of whether to definitely recognize who is the principal broker of Mega of Realty?
What was the question?
The question is, who is the, not the president, not the president of operation, who is
Well, the principal broker of Mega Homes Realty, the owner of Mega Homes Realty, is Manu Islam. You're asking me who the principal broker of the agency is? It is Manu Islam. He is not an agent, he is the broker.
it could be a cooperation.
Yes, in order for him to have certified with the state, the real estate brokerage company, he would have had to produce a brokerage license with an ID number. That's correct.
And the license is represented for was the license broker of the.
Okay, I think what I'm understanding your question is, let me see if I can answer it this way. My research has determined that Manoy Islam owns Mega Homes Realty. My research has determined.
Is that does he own the corporation or does he own the license?
My research has shown that he is the owner of the brokerage, that he is the licensee of the agency, and that he is the broker of the agency, not an agent. I understand. Well, I'd love to talk to you about those facts, and if you'd like to call me at my office, I'll ask Ruhan to please take your name and number, and if you'd love to talk to you digging deeper into Mega Homes, I would love that.
They have questions in the, next question from here.
You can, please say your name and stand up on the.
Mr. Tony, thank you so much for giving the information that Michael Islam is the buyer, he is the seller, he is the stockholder, he is the,
He's the buyer, he's the broker.
broker also, yeah.
Buyer, he's the broker.
Thank you so much for giving the information, because most of the Jalalabad people are divided on this issue that no one knows about the issue going on. My question is, you say the house is going to foreclose. We have a lot of homeowners here. We know that if we don't pay our mortgage 3 months, automatically we are going to lose the right to own the house. We are suing Moinul Islam and whoever with him. My question is, if he is holding the money in that house, if we lose the house and still we are not suing him, what are you going to gain if we lose the house, if the bank takes the house?
That's an excellent question. That really is. That's an excellent question. I can see you paying attention and you understand the quandary that the association is in. Because I think the plan, scheme, and divide that Mr. Islam had cooked up was to purchase the house with the association's money. We call that equity. Money is equity. So he used your money to purchase the house and took the mortgage. Now the bank is going to foreclose, and that house is going to go to auction on the steps of the courthouse. And if that house, we're lucky enough that that house at the auction on the courthouse sells for $700,000, we lose all our money. We lost it because the bank has a priority lien. They get to take all their money, and although they lent us $610, by the time that gets to foreclosure, default interest, attorney's fees, costs, your equity is wiped out. What I believe was going to happen thereafter is Mr. Islam was going to show up at the auction sale, and he was going to buy that house for dirt cheap for $700. And he was going to do what he intended to do the whole time. He just used your money to buy the house. But the plan, scheme, and device, in my opinion, was that he intended the foreclosure to occur. And he intended then to have another entity buy that house at the foreclosure. He just used your money, your $300,000+ to pick up a house at a reduced cost. I think that was his plan.
So my counter question would be, what would you do to stop Moinul Islam to do it for the actual cost?
Well,
Nothing to do here, along to others to your.
well, what I'm fighting with now is a battle. I'm in a battle with Washington Equity. And I'm saying, you, Washington Equity, knew or should have known that Jalalabad Association's money was being used here. You knew or should have known enough to raise questions as to where Mr. Islam's money was coming from. You had a responsibility, a duty to the association to question where this $300,000 was coming from. It wasn't coming from JAL USA. Well, who the hell is Jalalabad Association? Well, wait a minute. Why is the money coming from an association? I'm trying to pick a fight and get into a battle with Washington Equity. I'm trying to drag them in here because, in my opinion, we talk about, the most culpable conduct of people and the ability to pay it back. From what I've seen, the only people who have the ability to pay this money back is Washington Equity. I don't know this guy Islam from a hole in the wall. I know he dresses in fine clothes, and I know he's a very braggadocious individual, but I don't know that he has the net worth and the ability to pay this money back to the association. So the question you asked me, I wish I had a crystal ball. I can't actually answer your question because I'm doing the best I can to prevent the foreclosure. But that is a tough fight. The other fight that I have, that's a good fight. I like that fight, but we're the plaintiff. But in the foreclosure action, we're the defendant. And what Washington is saying is, we didn't know anything. We don't know what you're talking about. Well, I want this dismissed before it gets to discovery. I don't want you to have a chance to open up my file and find out what I knew, what the communications between Islam and Washington were, what were the emails, what were the text messages, what were the phone calls, what does the file contain? I don't want me to see that. That's why they brought a motion to dismiss before I have an opportunity to conduct my discovery. So that's the battle I'm fighting right now, sir. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. John, I have another question from Facebook Live. That you have discussed, about the people have been seeing on the live Facebook video through the media that there's been rent collected from the house. If the rent was collected, where is the rent going?
That's a really good question. The question was, well, we understand that this house is a two-family house, and it has two tenants in there. Well, where is the rent from the tenants going? I looked at every one of your bank statements post-August 22. There is no deposits reflecting any rental payments from tenants on this house. So I can only assume that the money is going into Mr. Islam's pocket. I don't know. I mean, where else the rent would go if not to Mr. Islam, who owns the house through Jalalabad, USA, which he owns. I'm sorry, that's the best I can speculate, and that is.
We can establish the rent amount that is collected from the Jalalabad, America Inc. money. He's collecting from the renter. We can establish one anyway.
We discussed this. The people who you pointed to come and see me, we discussed that. And we could appoint a receiver to collect the rent. We could go to court and ask for a receiver. Unfortunately, that's going to cost us a lot of money, more than whatever the rents he's collecting off. Because when I appoint the receiver, he gets a fee. And guess who winds up paying that fee? Us. So look, my game plan is the long game. My game plan is to focus on real numbers, $300,000+. I don't know what rent he's getting here, but it can't be that much because my understanding is the house is pretty run down. And the tenants, if they're even paying him rent, I don't know. But the answer to your question is we could, and it's on my list of things, but again, I have to prioritize.
Thank you.